How's it going, everybody? It's Steve, and today I'm going to find out if I can beat Pokemon Soul Silver without using attacking moves. As we watch the intro, let's go over some rules. First, I can only use status moves in battle. No attacking moves allowed at all. Second, I don't use items in battle after Morty. I'll mention why I use items before then, but outside of the Morty fight, my item use didn't influence any of the fights. Not using items was an afterthought. Held items are allowed. So as you can see, I picked Chikorita. Why? It's the only starter with a level up and damaging status move in Poison Powder at level 9. This will let me advance far enough to get a permanent team member in Violet City. You may be wondering how I get it to level 9 without attacking. Well, Kakuna spawn 10 to 15% of the time on the route above Cherry Grove, and Harden has 10 PP less than Growl. I just have to find a Kakuna, growl until it struggles 4 to 5 times depending on its HP, heal, and do it again until I'm level 9. This rival fight is losable, luckily, so I just growl until I go down. If this was a required win, before proceeding, I would have to do all my Kakuna grinding before this fight to learn Poison Powder, and I might even still lose at that point. After that loss, I get some Pokeballs and catch a Leddyba. I learn Supersonic at level 6, which gives Chikorita some temporary backup. Neither of these Pokemon will be permanent fixtures of the team. Doing a ton of Kakuna grinding finally brings Chikorita to 9 and Leddyba to 6, allowing us to take on youngster Joey. Poison Powder now allows me to win battles in 8 to 9 turns, so the game will now move ever so slightly faster. However, we run into a roadblock with the powerful bug catcher Wade. He has a Weedle who can't be poisoned, so I basically need huge supersonic luck to take that thing out. But then he has 3 Caterpie who also probably outlast my Chikorita. I actually get wiped here and end up skipping the fight. You can just hop over the ledge to the left of him. Fun fact, when I come back after beating Sudowoodo, he beats me again because I forgot to heal. Losing to Wade with 4 level 20s is very sad. I catch a Bellsprout and trade it for the Onix in Violet City. This is mainly to help against Falkner and Bugsy. In Sprout Tower, we catch a Ghastly, our first permanent member of the team. It gets a ton of useful moves, including Hypnosis right from the start, Curse at level 12, Confuse Ray at 19, and Destiny Bond and Nightmare at 50 and 55, as well as Protect via TM. Curse will allow me to KO Pokemon in 4 to 5 turns, depending on odd or even HP amounts, so the run really picks up pace here. Which is good because it takes me 4 hours of in-game time to get to Falkner, the first gym leader. I poison his Pidgey with Chikorita and use Onix to stall it out, then switch in Ghastly to get the curse off. I switch back to Onix to tank a few curse turns. I do use a potion on Ghastly here, but it doesn't matter as I hit a Hypnosis and Curse finishes it off when it was probably going to roost. After this battle, we get Bayleef and Togepi. Bayleef does get Synthesis, which will be useful for being able to stall for poison and curse turns. Togepi is largely going to be used for dying. 7.5 hours of in-game time and we get to Bugsy. I'll lead with Ghastly and put him to sleep and confuse him before using Curse so I don't get hit. I then switch to Onix again to tank some more hits. Unfortunately, he U-turns out on the last turn to reset the Curse and take out Onix. Bayleef takes out Metapod with a bunch of Poison Powders thanks to Shed Skin. I do heal Ghastly, but it doesn't matter because Scyther doesn't attack anyway and goes down to Curse. Kakuna goes down to Curse, but could also have been PP stalled by my remaining Pokemon. Next up is the Azalea Town rival fight. Ghastly curses his Ghastly, then gets out of there, but he comes back in to also curse the Zubat and die. Finally, Bayleef finishes off Quilava with Poison Powder as Onix tanks the rest of the hits. In the woods, I pick up a Paris because I need something that can cut that isn't Bayleef for now. Eventually Bayleaf will be my cutter when I don't need him anymore. I also pick up a Hoot Hoot and name him Morty. More on that later. Before I go to fight Whitney, I do some more catching. I get an Execute, who is a better version of Bayleaf because it learns Leech Seed, and Vulpix, who is the only catchable Pokemon in this game that learns Will-O-Wisp by level up, and I need that to beat poison types more reliably. Whitney time, 10 hours in. I lead with Execute, who gets Fire Blasted after landing Leech Seed, which is ridiculous. He lives and spams Hypnosis until Clefairy goes down to the Leech Seed. The dreaded Miltank comes in, and I have crazy luck avoiding Attract and Flinch to keep getting Reflect off when I need it. Miltank gets a last turn crit to take out the eggs, but Bayleaf comes in to clean it up. After this, I spend a ton of time at the Pokeathlon Dome so I can get both a Leaf Stone and Firestone to evolve Execute and Vulpix. The Attract TM means Vulpix is already complete, and once Execute learns Poison Powder, he can be evolved as well. Burning Tower rival fight. I lead Exeggutor and get a Leech Seed off and have a long back and forth due to Mean Look, but eventually he goes down and I switch out from the curse. Ninetales burns and confuses the Zubat, then stalls him out with Attract. Magnemite is next, who is promptly burned and Leech Seeded, then stalled to death. Finally, Quilava goes down to Curse as I break through the confusion. Ninetales manages to stall out the victory. Now 15 hours in and we get to Morty. Let's talk about my Morty, the Hoot Hoot. Here is his team. His only attacking moves are Ghost Type, or Dream Eater, or Sucker Punch. I don't attack, so Sucker Punch won't work. Ghost moves won't hit normal types, and because of Hoot Hoot's ability Insomnia, he can't be hit by Dream Eater either. So as long as I can get Leech Seed, Wisp, or Curse off onto his 3 Pokemon that know Curse, Hoot Hoot wins. This is the only battle where I use an item and it matters in the entire game. It starts Ghastly on Ghastly, I confuse him first, then put him to sleep, and use Curse. He wakes up immediately and traps me in. This is where I decide to use items instead of resetting. I could reset here and play for better sleep times, but knowing I eventually win with Hoot Hoot, I just use items to save myself some time. Ghastly outspeeds his Haunter and gets a Curse and Hypnosis off, and it gets no moves in. Gengar does outspeed Ghastly and takes it out with a Shadow Ball. Ninetales burns Gengar, but gets trapped, so it goes down. This paves the way for Hoot Hoot to sit there and growl Gengar to death. Finally, his last Haunter gets hit with Leech Seed, and Hoot Hoot ends up coming back in to finish off the fight. After this fight, I use no more items for the rest of the run. Complain in the comments if you want. I also pick up a ton of Protect TMs, as that would have made this fight trivial. Ghastly, Bayleaf, and Exeggutor all learn Protect to help me stall out fights easier. Now being able to surf, I go catch Lapras in Union Cave. Lapras is incredibly tanky, gets Confuse Ray, is immune to hail damage, and gets access to the absolutely fantastic Perish Song, which will almost always allow me to close out fights in 3 turns. I do learn the AI is smart enough to switch out before dying to Perish Song, so this only helps on the last Pokemon per fight. I also catch a Tentacool while I'm down there. It gets access to Toxic Spikes, which, with 2 layers down, apply Toxic Poison to anything that switches in that isn't Poison, Flying, or Levitating. Poison types also eliminate Toxic Spikes from the field. It also learns Screech at level 36, and I'll give it Swagger. 1 Swagger and 1 Screech means a Confusion hit does 4 times the damage it normally does. Great combo. Around 19 hours in, I take on Chuck. I lead Tentacool to get some Toxic Spikes down, then switch in Ninetales to roar away his double team boosts. Luckily, he never rock slides. I attract his Poliwrath and confuse him, and he manages to never hit Focus Punch. I do roar him back into Primeape, predicting a full restore, so I can get him back in and poisoned. Primeape does take out Ninetales with Rock Slide, but ticks out from poison as Lapras protects. Lapras confuses Poliwrath and stalls him out with Protect until dying to a Focus Punch. Tentacool comes back in to protect and win the fight. I lose my first try against Jasmine, so I grind up a little bit to make sure Lapras gets Perish Song. Jasmine's Pokemon can't be poisoned, so I have to rely on Leech Seed, Wisp, and Curse. Now, almost 21 hours in, we take on Jasmine. Ninetales burns and confuses the first Magnemite, then switches out to Exeggutor, who gets a Leech Seed off and stalls it out until it dies. The next Magnemite goes down basically the same way, but this time only with Leech Seed. Finally, Lapras shows off the new strat of Perish Song into Protect, into Confuse Ray, and then switching out to win the fight. On to Pryce, who is shockingly one of the hardest fights of the game. His Seel and Dewgong both know rest. I need good Hypnosis or Confusion luck to take them out before they rest off the damage. I do set up Toxic Spikes, just because it's good against Piloswine. Ninetales comes in and roars him out to poison whatever's next. Confuse Ray and Attract in hopes that rest never happens, but it does. Roar the Dewgong out to bring in Piloswine. Ninetales is forced out into Lapras, who stalls out the Piloswine. Seel comes in again, so Exeggutor gets a Leech Seed off. The Seel rests through the Confuse Ray and finally goes down. What a nuisance that thing was. Haunter curses the Dewgong and goes down, and Lapras comes in for the Perish Song and the victory after a Protect, Confuse, and Switch. The Goldenrod Tower is next, where we have this difficult fight against Petrel, who has 5 Coughings and a Wheezing. I struggle against 6 Pokemon teams and against Poisons, and this has both. Not only that, but I don't really have a level advantage anymore. Tentacool. The underground rival battle took me a few tries. I kept getting wrecked by his Golbat and Sneasel. On my 4th try, I lead with Ninetales and get a successful Attract and Confuse off, then I burn it. It gets a crazy number of Air Cutters off through both, but is eventually taken down from the burn. I bring Hoot Hoot back in to fire off Hypnosis and tank a Curse from the Haunter, then switch in to Exeggutor for a Leech Seed, and back to Hoot Hoot to finish it off. Exeggutor comes back to Leech Seed Magnemite, then spams Rest to stall him out to death. Haunter sacrifices himself with Curse on the Sneasel, as does Ninetales with his body, as does Hoot Hoot with his body, and then Exeggutor protects twice as Sneasel succumbs to Curse. Finally, Lapras gets the Perish Song off to finish the Quilava. After this, I catch a Skarmory, but the footage broke. He learns Spikes, Roar, and Roost, so he'll be a valuable tank. Stealth Rock is post-game, but if I decide to beat Red, it will be invaluable as well. 31 hours in, and we take on Claire. Learning from previous attempts, I Hypnosis first, then Curse, then Confuse, and Protect. Unfortunately, Haunter goes down. Skarmory comes in and lays down 3 sets of spikes as Gyarados takes itself out. 1 Dragonair comes in and we switch to Tentacool, who dodges a Slam, hits a Swagger, and spams Protect until it goes down, also getting a layer of Toxic Spikes. Ninetales is next, gets paralyzed, and taken down by Slams. Exeggutor dodges a Fire Blast and finishes off with Leech Seed. Kingdra is next and takes half of its health before hitting the eggs. Leech Seed hits, and some Protect turns and a switch to Skarmory means that both Kingdra and Skarmory go down. Knowing the last Dragonair doesn't have Fire Blast, this Perish Song and Switch endgame is fairly safe and finishes the battle off, giving us the final gym badge. After this, I use the daycare to grind up to around level 38 and head to the Kimono Girls. With Perish Song, they're all a pushover, so here's Espeon listening to its inevitable doom. Final rival battle in the main story, 36 hours in. Skarmory leads and gets 3 layers of spikes down, and then a roar. Haunter gets dragged out, so we switch in to Tentacool. Confuse Ray and Curse spell bad news, so we switch out into Ninetales, who tanks a Shadow Ball and hits Will-O-Wisp. We take ourselves out in confusion and bring in Lapras to protect Stall the Haunter. Magneton comes in and is met with Exeggutor. Leech Seed and Spikes manage to take him out in a few turns. With Protect, the eggs stay pretty healthy. Sneasel comes back out, as does Skarmory. One Roar brings in Typhlosion, so Skarmory gets switched out into Lapras. Lava Plume does a fair amount of damage, but we still get a Confuse Ray off. Lapras switches again into Tentacool, who tanks a Plume and throws down some Toxic Spikes before dying. Haunter comes in and uses Confuse Ray again, then kills itself with Curse as Lapras comes in to finish off Typhlosion with a double Protect. Kadabra enters the battle, again met with Exeggutor. With Toxic Spikes down now, it goes down fairly quickly to Poison and Leech Seed damage as Exeggutor takes a nap. Recover makes things somewhat dicey, but he eventually decides to just not use it. Sneasel comes back in and is stalled out by the roosting metal bird. Golbat is last, and it goes down to the infamous Perish Song combo. Goodbye, rival. After this, I evolve Tentacool and grind up so everyone is at least level 40, then head in to fight Will at about 37 hours of game time. Tentacruel starts it off with a Swagger and some Toxic Spikes. Xatu hits himself 4 times in a row, is healed, screeched, swaggered again, then hits itself 2 more times to take itself out. Iapa Berry means Tentacruel lives the one Psychic that gets through. Exeggutor is next, and Skarmory comes out to lay down some spikes. He takes a nap though, and Psychic forces him out into Exeggutor. My eggs stall out the other eggs, but get put to sleep. Jinx comes out, met with Ninetales, who confuses it. Psychic does huge damage, but between confusion hits and poison, Jinx falls with the Ninetales. Slowbro is next, gets cursed, and takes out the Haunter in one hit. Exeggutor is back to stall the Slowbro to death, as the curse apparently makes him only use Curse. The final Xatu comes in, and the Perish Song strategy works once more as we stall out 3 turns to take out the first Elite Four member. Koga is next, who should be the easiest of the 4. We lead again with Skarmory to set up a bunch of spikes. With 3 sets down, Koga has no real way to damage Skarm, so I just spam Roar to keep getting damage. Venomoth does get a confusion off on Skarm, forcing a switch into Tentacruel, who gets hit with a Psychic. One Swagger is almost enough to take out Venomoth, but predicting a heal, I switch into Skarmory again to Roar. Roars keep happening until Crobat comes out. Spikes do nothing because it's Flying type, so I switch in Ninetales to get a burn off. It's tough due to the double team, but once it hits, I switch in Lapras, use Hail for Chip, hit Confuse Ray, then stall Crobat to death. Ariados comes back in, which brings out Ninetales for a Will-O-Wisp, who dies to Hail for the free switch out. Tentacruel comes out for the XP, and stays in to Swagger Venomoth one more time. 1 Screech and 2 Confusion hits almost take it out, but 1 Roar means Venomoth goes down when it comes back in. Roar the Forretress, take out the Venomoth, Roar the Forretress and the Muck, take out the Forretress, and Perish Song takes out the Muck. Spikes are definitely overpowered in this battle. Bruno surprisingly takes me 2 tries. Hitmonlee crushed me the first time. Tentacruel starts with 2 Toxic Spikes, then switches to Skarmory on the dig. 3 layers of spikes go down, and Hitmontop gets roared out. Hitmonchan comes out and is met with Exeggutor, who gets a Leech Seed off. Poison Powder counters the full restore, and then there is a switch into Ninetales, who gets frozen. We thaw immediately and hit Confuse Ray, and Chan takes himself out. Onyx is next, so Exeggutor comes out for the rest to heal up. Hit a Leech Seed off, then Onyx goes down. Hitmonlee is next, so Ninetales comes in for a Tract. I switch out predicting a high jump kick, but he uses Focus Energy. He hits himself in confusion and dies to the poison. Machamp is next and gets cursed right out of the gate. Exeggutor returns, Protect stalls some curse and poison damage, then rests to regain health. Then is the return of Hitmontop, who I decide to take out with Leech Seed for some reason. I guess Pear Song was getting old? I don't know. Karen also takes me 2 attempts, mainly due to bad confusion and paralysis luck. Tentacruel leads off with 2 layers of Toxic Spikes as Umbreon double teams 6 times. Skarmory also gets off 3 layers of Spikes and runs out of Roars as none of them hit the Umbreon. Ninetales also knows Roar, so she comes in and eventually does get one off, bringing in Gengar. Gengar gets confused, then hits the Focus Blast, taking out Ninetales. Haunter comes in with a Choice Scarf and hits Curse, then switches out to Skarmory. He gets paralyzed and hit with Focus Blast, roosts to heal, and switches into Tentacruel on the heal. Both attacks miss, and Gengar wastes time using Destiny Bond until it goes down to Curse and Confusion. Vileplume is next, meaning no more Toxic Spikes. Haunter is back and kills itself with Curse to damage Vileplume. Exeggutor comes out to stall Vileplume to death with Protect and Rest. Umbreon comes back out, without Roar or Toxic Spikes up on my side. I stay in to get a Leech Seed off, and luckily Quick Claw activates at the right time before we go down. Next out is Skarmory to stall out Umbreon with Roost and Protect. Houndoom is first, and Nasty Plots in front of Tentacruel. He hits himself from Swagger and is screeched, then takes out Tentacruel. Lapras is the savior and hits Confuse Ray as he Nasty Plots instead of winning, then takes himself out in confusion. Perish Song finishes off the Murkrow, and Skarmory stalls for the win. Turbo luck there to get that win. Champion Lance 39 hours in. You are reading this right, it is attempt 34. I lose a ton of runs immediately to a flinch or a freeze. I need Exeggutor to stay healthy and take out Gyarados, which is normally possible thanks to the Yacht Berry, and pivots to Lapras. Full Restore on Gyarados is also key, as I learned he does not use a Full Restore on Aerodactyl or Charizard if he uses it on Gyarados. So eventually I take out Gyarados, which brings in Charizard. Tentacruel comes out, misses Swagger, and dies to Shadow Claw. Haunter, faster than Charizard, gets a Curse off and swiftly dies to Air Slash. I bring in Skarmory to bait a Fire move, Protect, then switch into Ninetales, who has Flash Fire. Ninetales is also holding a Choice Scarf in this battle. I switch again to Skarmory, then Protect to take out the Charizard. Aerodactyl is next, and this is also where I lose a lot of runs. Scarf Ninetales does outspeed Aerodactyl, but I need Will-O-Wisp to hit, or I lose to Aerodactyl. This time it does hit, which lets me switch to Skarmory, and Roost and Protect stall him to death. Again, Lance won't full restore this thing for some reason. A Dragonite comes out next, and predicting it's the Thunder one, I bring back out my Exeggutor. Misses a Dragon Rush and I hit Leech Seed. I Protect stall some HP, miss a Poison Powder, and get chunked by a Dragon Rush. Protect gives me a little bit more HP, then I switch into Skarmory to tank another Dragon Rush. I switch again into the Eggs, who dodge a Thunder. Protect and Poison Powder on the full restore, then more Protects and strategic switches into Skarmory and back to Exeggutor, eventually take out the first Dragonite. With Exeggutor still out, Lance brings his Blizzard Dragonite. I attempt to hit a Wisp with Ninetales, but I miss, and I think all is lost. But then Blizzard misses, and I hit a Leech Seed. I Protect another Blizzard, switch in Lapras to tank a third Blizzard, Protect a Scout, then switch in Skarmory to tank a Dragon Rush, Protect a fourth Blizzard, and a fifth Blizzard, not wanting to risk damage on Lapras. Surprisingly, he uses another full restore, but he's out of blizzards. Hyper Beam doesn't take out Skarmory, and now gets more turns to heal. He keeps using Hyper Beam, probably due to Skarm's lower special defense, but eventually Skarm is able to outlast him. That leaves his Outrage and Fire Blast Dragonite, and thankfully he uses Safeguard as I use Perish Song. Protect, Confuse Ray, and switch into Skarmory secure me the final victory against Lance. You could see the relief on my face. This fight took me 3 hours of real time to beat. So we did it. We beat the main story without using attacking moves, and for the most part without using items. Let me know in the comments if you want to see me take on Red. Also let me know if you want this in more games. If there's interest, I'll definitely attempt the other generations as well. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe for more challenges. If you like Mass Effect, check out my previous series where I beat Mass Effect 1 without shooting or using offensive powers. I also did most of this challenge on Twitch, so if you want to check me out on Twitch, I'm at twitch.tv/SteveMontyScott. I typically just stream challenges and competitive Pokemon, so if that's your thing, come take a look. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.